What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Move the Sticks. Daniel Jeremiah, joined by Bucky Brooks, and this is our divisional preview series, Bucky, and today we're focusing on the AFC West. For those that haven't seen our series, kind of break down and explain what our Move the Sticks scouting index is.
So it's composed of 6 different categories: quarterback, skill positions, offensive line, front 7 on defense, secondary, and finally coaching. We tally all those up. Lowest score wins, just like golf.
Yeah, rank each and every category here, and we add up the numbers and see who we think is the favorite in terms of just pure talent in the division. Let's start off at the quarterback position, Bucky. And in this division, some interesting discussions to be had here. How did it shake out?
You know, it's very, very interesting. At quarterback, we have the Broncos 4, the Raiders at 3, the Chiefs with Alex Smith at 2, and number 1 goes to your San Diego Chargers with Phillip Rivers.
Look, at 2 and 3, to me, there's an argument to be made when you look at Alex Smith versus a Derek Carr. Derek Carr, a lot more physical tools, but Alex Smith done a nice job getting his team in the postseason. He's maybe a little bit just more experience involved there.
More experience. The guy is labeled as a game manager, but he's really started to become a very, very good winner for the Kansas City Chiefs. Got into the playoffs last year after they lost Jamal Charles, and even though the numbers aren't necessarily fantasy football-like, he does do a good job of making plays when he's asked to make plays.
All right, now we get to the skill positions, Bucky, and let's work again backwards here, 4-1.
Here we go. San Diego Chargers coming in at 4, the Kansas City Chiefs at 3, the Oakland Raiders at 2, and the Denver Broncos are number 1.
Denver Broncos, with what they have at the wide receiver position, I think some depth now at running back. We both really like Devontae Booker, kind of put them up in that top spot. But Oakland, again, you look at the young players they have in position there, and even in Crabtree, what he brings to the table opposite of an Amari Cooper. You get Clive Walford, a nice young tight end, Latavius Murray, a solid back, even DeAndre Washington, another back to put in there. They're pushing. Oakland's right there knocking on the door to be the number 1 in that category.
Yeah, this is going to be a very, very competitive division. The Denver Broncos, the Oakland Raiders, high hopes for the Oakland Raiders, and we're seeing why so many people are high on them, because they're a very, very talented roster.
All right, offensive line, Buck.
Offensive line, San Diego Chargers are at 4th, Denver Broncos 3, Kansas City Chiefs at 2, and then the Oakland Raiders are number 1. Part of it is because they have so many physical players at the point of attack. They can create a push. Gabe Jackson, bringing in Kelechi Osemele to come in and fortify.
Hudson Hornet there at center,
man.
They
are really, really nice. They can dominate. I think they can be a more physical run game, and as they increase their physicality and toughness, they can be a tougher team to defend.
I think when you look at this offensive line ranking, to me it's the Raiders clearly number 1, and I think you can almost kind of take the other 3 and kind of shuffle them up in a bag and pick one out. I'm not all that fired up about any of the other 3 when it comes to the offensive line. All right, let's switch over to the defense, Bucky, in the front 7.
Let's go with the Chargers at 4, the Oakland Raiders at 3, the Kansas City Chiefs at 2, and the Denver Broncos have the best front 7 in this division.
Yeah, I probably can make a case they have good front 7 as we have in the National Football League, Buck.
Yeah, I think you absolutely can. Von Miller on one side, DeMarcus Ware, even though he's playing in a part-time role, he's able to get it done. Shane Ray. They have some other intriguing pieces on the inside. Derek Wolfe is there. Sylvester Williams have an opportunity to play the nose tackle. At linebacker, they can run and chase with Brandon Marshall. This is a fast and talented team. Wade Phillips does a great job of mixing in his blitzes to allow his guys to get one-on-one matchups.
And you get Justin Houston, if he comes back healthy, and hopefully that happens sooner rather than later, the Chiefs right up there as one of the best front 7s as well in the entire league.
Yeah, absolutely. The Chiefs are there, and the Oakland Raiders are intriguing now. We saw Mario Edwards would go to injured reserve. That could impact the success that Khalil Mack had, because when they pulled him out the lineup at the end of the year, Khalil Mack was not as productive. They need to make sure they can get that presence. But if they get Alden Smith back near the end of the season, could upgrade that front 4, because I think they should have a good pass rush when Alden Smith comes back.
You're going to have a lot of speed there in that front 7 for the Raiders. All right, let's switch over now to the what we got now. We've got
secondary.
We got secondary. Let's go secondary, and this one inside the division, Bucky, I think we've got an elite one at the top there with the Denver Broncos, but we work backwards. Man, I think there's a debate to be had between these bottom 2 names we have here with the Raiders and the Chargers.
Yeah, 4, the Oakland Raiders, 3, the San Diego Chargers, 2, the Kansas City Chiefs, and number 1, the Denver Broncos. Now, what's the debate between the Chargers and the Raiders?
I just think when you look at the Raiders, some new pieces that they have in place there, there's some talent, but I think you look at Verrett and what he brings to the table, I like that. Now, Weddle's gone. They lose him. Maybe his play wasn't at that high of a level as we've become accustomed to, but there still are some questions at the safety spot for the Chargers.
No, there still is some legitimate questions. Who's going to fill that role? Because the one thing that you always could talk about Eric Weddle is that he's a ball hawk. He always has a way of being around the ball, creates turnovers, benefits from that. Justin Verrett is a guy who is as talented as they come as a corner. And so for the Oakland Raiders, They have some young pieces. They bring Sean Smith over from Kansas City, David Amerson being able to play. Carl Joseph, who they really have high hopes for coming off that knee injury at West Virginia. If he comes and plays, they surpass the Chargers. Maybe even they challenge the Kansas City Chiefs at number 2.
All right, let's go to coaching here, Buck.
Well, I mean, I think when you look at the bottom of the division, let's go with the San Diego Chargers at 4, the Oakland Raiders at 3, the Kansas City Chiefs at 2, and your Super Bowl champions, the Denver Broncos.
Gary Kubiak. Gary Kubiak. I know Andy Reid hasn't won a Super Bowl, but
I mean, I know.
You're going to go
Kubiak? Well, but I think it's more than Kubiak, because when you get Kubiak, you get
Wade Phillips. I see.
So I think that is the difference. That's kind of the deciding factor with the Kansas City Chiefs. I love Andy Reid, what he's been able to do. Look, Bob Sutton's been fine as defensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs, but I think Wade Phillips being able to dial up and make that defense number 1 in several categories kind of makes it a difference.
All right, let's look at the totals here now, Bucky. Let's go offense overall. How does it shake out?
How about that? The Oakland Raiders at number 1. Most explosive offense. When you have an offensive line, young quarterback, and skill guys, it certainly push you up there.
Yeah, you can see there as they go. Chiefs, Broncos, and the Chargers bringing up the rear. Let's switch it over to the defense, Buck. And this is no surprise. You look at the Super Bowl champion Denver Broncos there at the top, and pretty decisively, I might add.
Yeah, the Denver Broncos deserve to be at the top, but I think the Kansas City Chiefs, the one thing that is common, both teams that are playoff teams also had the best defenses. I think you need to load up on defense, make sure you can keep people out the end zone.
All right, let's go to the overall rankings, because we've all said the Raiders are that team on the rise, Buck. Could be a playoff team, but when we just stack up the players and we add in the coaching, they come in at number 3 in this division.
And I think the Raiders certainly have an argument, because on paper they look like they're prime and ready to go. Jack Del Rio has talked about this team being ready to really compete for the division title. But when you look at the two teams at the top, the Denver Broncos bring back most of the pieces from the number 1 defense in football a year ago, and the Kansas City Chiefs were a playoff team. And so when you look at the key components and the fact that Andy Reid has a knack for getting to the winner's circle, it is going to be hard for the Raiders to leapfrog both of those teams to be number 1.
Going to be a very competitive division. I don't know if anybody in this division gets to 12 wins. I think they beat each other up a little bit, Buck. The way we come to this, by the way, we kind of debate back and forth, and we compromise on some. Might go with mine, might go with yours on a different one. But that's how we got to our totals, and that is our opinion.
Yeah, it is our opinion. Let us know what your opinion is by leaving your comments. We're waiting to hear from you on YouTube.
Yeah, leave us some comments there. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Move the Sticks podcast on iTunes. You can also listen to the Move the Sticks podcast on NFL.com/podcasts.